Well, Mario Draghi's made a very important point, which is it's important, but it's not sufficient. What's needed is structural change. Central banks can provide liquidity and provide the gasoline for the engine of the economy, the petrol, but they can't provide the incentive to step on the accelerator or move the economy forward. That's up to the political authorities. You have to have fiscal and regulatory policy accompany monetary stimulation. Well, it can't fail. Look, interest rates are already very low, in fact negative in some of the European countries and European credits. You couldn't have more accommodative monetary policy. But if it fails because the politicians in these countries don't bring about the structural change that's necessary. And this is the whole issue right now with Greece. It's a tug of war that's taking place, and we'll just have to see how that obtains and what examples it sets for others. A strong U.S. economy is interested in the United States and in the interest of the world. So it's natural when you have someone on the verge of moving in the other direction. People want to capture the potential for appreciation. The U.S. economy is a growth stock right now. That's one way to look at it. But I do think if the European policy succeeds, you'll see capital flows to Europe. We're seeing American corporations evaluating opportunities in Europe right now because of the inexpensive euro relative to the dollar and its potential for economic growth, particularly in Northern Europe, but also in Southern Europe. So eventually markets equilibrate as long as the economy does well. And if this program succeeds in providing that spark, then I think this argument about a strong dollar, weak dollar versus the euro, et cetera, becomes a non-academic argument. Our intermediate target for inflation is 2%, but even if we're below 2%, it depends on what's happening in terms of wage price pressures, full employment. And we know from our history that if we wait until we achieve full employment and then we tighten or de-accommodate, we always drive the economy into recession. So we have to slow this thing down as we get closer and closer. Inflation expectations are not that high, they're running about 1.7%, but the consumer surveys under Michigan and others are holding flat at about 2%. So I'm not worried about deflation or disinflation or not even not achieving the 2% intermediate target. It's really a question of economic growth and employment growth and wage price pressures and where we're seeing in development and in what sectors. Her job is to engineer an exit from monetary accommodation, which we as a committee put together under Ben Bernanke's leadership to save our economy. And Draghi's job right now is still more in the Ben Bernanke mode. So he's not there to engineer the normalization of monetary policy. They're two very different jobs, and I would say both of them are extremely difficult.